With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go Network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go Network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
And let's talk about what lessons about.
Let's hang out.
And let's listen to two lesbians shout.
Let's hang out.
Let's hang out.
Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Hang Out, a podcast hosted by two out and proud lesbians. I'm your East Coast lesbian, Ellie Brigida.
And I'm your West Coast lesbian, Lee Holmes Foster.
And welcome to our second interlude episode, Pride.
Happy Pride Month, everyone.
Happy Pride! Oh, I cannot believe Pride is here and I'm so excited.
I know. And we know it is not everywhere, but I think for most people, most cities, this tends to be it. This is the month. This is the month, you guys.
This is our month, people. This is the month where I can wear every single one of my lesbian t-shirts.
So we wanted to do another kind of special interlude episode and talk a little bit about Pride, some of our experiences with Pride, and share a little bit of our Pride stories.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. It's fine.
Yeah. And the beautiful.
And the beautiful. And the beautiful.
There you go.
So I think we're going to start at the beginning with our first Pride experiences.
Okay.
And for those of you listening, we would love to hear your experiences too. I think this is just like your first Pride especially is such a magical experience, you know, because it's like you're surrounded by so many queer people.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's overwhelming to just be like, wow, all of these people exist. You know, I'm not the only person. And it's just beautiful. And we would love to hear about yours. My first Pride experience happened very early. And I say this is my first Pride experience because it was not necessarily Pride, but to me, this is my first experience with a very large gay event. Okay. So my aunt, gay Aunt Meg, who we talked about.
Shout out, gay Aunt Meg.
We'll just keep talking about. She used to live in Provincetown in Massachusetts. For those of you who don't know, and if you don't know, go to Provincetown. I'm going to call it P-Town because I feel weird saying Provincetown, but...
Because no one calls it Provincetown.
Because nobody calls it Provincetown. So P-Town is the gayest city or town per capita, at least in Massachusetts, and pretty much in the whole country, I think.
It's like a gay mecca.
It's just gay heaven. And my aunt lived there for quite a few years, and we would go to visit her most summers. So I was exposed to gay culture very early. Like P-Town, like to paint the picture of P-Town on a normal day, there are drag queens riding around on bicycles, just like normal, you know? I went to see my first drag show there when I was like 9 or 10. It was like, oh, nice. Met them after in their street clothes. I was like, oh, you don't look the same. Cool. I think it's where I get my dramatic flair from the early drag shows. But my first Pride experience is the P-Town Carnival Parade. Okay, so every year in August, P-Town has a carnival parade, which is basically like P-Town Pride. There are floats, there are beads, there are naked men. So it's Pride, okay? I was actually in the parade, okay, at 10 years old. I spent most of my summer in P-Town at this dog cafe, like that was owned by these two lesbians. I don't know how I did not figure out I was gay sooner.
Yeah, right? Really?
I was in a pride parade.
It was not due to underexposure, let's put it that way.
Oh, yes. I very much knew that gay people existed and that I loved them. But yeah, I was in the parade on a float. Probably like right in front of me were a bunch of men in Speedos. Behind were a bunch of drag queens. The float that I was on was full of puppies and dogs.
Oh, puppies.
And me.
Oh, that's like a dream.
Right?
That's like a dream right there. A pride float full of puppies and you.
I thought nothing of the fact that I was surrounded by half-naked men. All I cared about was that I was on this float with all these dogs that I loved, and I was throwing candy and beads out into the crowd of all these gay people, and I was having a blast. So, queen of the gays. So I have very, very fond memories of my first, what I like to call my first pride experience.
But what was like your first pride where you realized it was your pride as well?
Where I was gay, where I was out.
Yeah.
So my first pride where I was out was probably New York Pride, which is New York Pride. This was my junior year of college, and we went into the city for the Pride Parade. And I actually think I was going to talk about this as my favorite pride experience, but...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I ruin it?
It's okay. I went to college, like, right outside of the city. So to me, it almost felt like just a normal weekend, because most weekends we would just go out to all the gay bars in New York, you know? But it was just like, now we were going and there were more people there. But like, it's New York.
Overrun
There's always
with-
a lot of
with
people
gay
there,
people.
you know? But yeah, I feel like I don't remember a lot of it because I was really drunk. I was in college and it was Pride. I remember going to the Dalloway, which was this lesbian bar that was owned by one of the women from The Real L Word. And it closed. It was my favorite lesbian bar in the history of lesbian bars. I think it just was because it was like my first real like lesbian
Yeah.
bar, you know?
There's always a soft spot.
Yeah. But yeah, I went to the Dalloway. I think I like made out with like a 35-year-old woman. Nothing against that, but I just remember her being like, "You are such a baby." And I was like, "No, I'm not," when I totally was.
But you were.
But I was. Yeah, but I was a baby.
But you were what, like 20?
21.
I mean, totally drinking legally, of course.
Yeah, right. I didn't drink at all before I was 21.
Yeah, your first taste of alcohol.
Yeah.
At the tender age of 21.
Yeah. That was a blast. In New York Pride, you can't, like, you're walking down the street and, like, there are just, like, topless women everywhere. I actually think I had to clean out my Twitter once I became a professional, quote unquote. When I became an adult, I started looking through my Twitter feed, like, what should you get rid of here? And I have a tweet from that Pride Parade that was basically like, topless women everywhere. What else could Ellie want? And I was like, Ellie, what? Why did you tweet that? But I still would.
now you are a professional lesbian. I think that's a totally valid tweet. as a
Yeah,
professional.
honestly, now it makes more sense. Before I was like, you're in the real adult world, and, you know, maybe you shouldn't talk about half-naked women on your Twitter, you know?
Inappropriate.
Inappropriate. It was a blur, but it was wonderful.
So my first Pride. So I have been trying to remember, because here's the problem with being a millennial, is I think my first Pride happened before I had a digital camera. Which means I don't actually have, like, photo documentation evidence on my computer that I can go back and double check exactly when it was. It was either my junior or senior year of high school. It's kind of going to depend on when in the year it happened to fall. But either way, when I was in high school, my best friend and I both came out around the same time. Go figure. Mm-hmm. Throwback to our gay magnets. You all kind of turn out to be gay. So we both came out around the same time, and we drove up. I grew up in Connecticut. We drove up to Hartford, which, if you don't know Connecticut, or if you've never been to Hartford, it's not like a huge city. There's not much there. And I want to say that this was 2003 in Hartford, and we drove up, just the two of us. Drove up to Hartford. We were so excited. We were like newly out, going to Pride. This was like such a big deal. And I feel like I must have like colored recollections of this, you know, in hindsight. But like the way that I remember Hartford Pride the year that we went is like, I want to say there were like maybe 100 people there. It just felt so small, like compared to the prides that I've been to since then.
Yeah.
You
well,
know,
if
like-
you've been to like, you've gone to San Francisco Pride.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like in hindsight, it just feels like it was like, oh, someone in their backyard like, had a couple people over for Pride. And especially because, I mean, it was 15 years ago, you know, like it was a slightly different time. But we were just so excited because it was that first time of we've come out, we're here, we're queer, and we're surrounded by other queer people. And it was like the most exciting thing ever to just feel like we're part of this, you know, like these are our people too. It was the best thing. You know, we were so excited. It was so small.
Yeah.
I remember they had like, there was a comedian who was kind of sort of big at the time, who was like pretty butch, and her name was Sabrina Matthews, and she was there, and we were like, oh my god, Sabrina Matthews, and we were like so excited about literally everything, like just, you know, rainbows everywhere, everything was just colorful and exciting and new, and it was great. So in the grand scheme of prides, it was probably the smallest pride I've ever been to, but in my heart, it's a big one.
Oh, that is so cutely.
But I'm gonna try to see. I know I have like prints, like physical prints of photos that I took, because I did have a camera. It was just like a film camera at the time. And I know I have photos from there that are probably just like lying around at my parents' house somewhere, and I will make my mom dig through.
Yes, we need to see the pictures.
I know they exist. So there you go. That was my first Pride. Hartford Pride, circa 15 years ago.
That's cute. My first Pride, if you count P-Town, was 15 years ago.
Hey!
Hey!
Was it the same year?
Yeah, I think so.
Aw,
That's
look
so
at us.
cute. Oh, just this little baby gay, and
We started our journey the same time, Ellie.
just took me a little bit longer
A little bit.
after that to really figure it out. It's okay. I really was like, I love gay people. They're the best. Like, I was the champion of gay rights.
Your brain was it was processing. It
Yeah.
was, you know, mixing it all around.
It
up there.
happens.
It takes a bit sometimes. That's okay. You got there eventually.
I did. Thank lesbian Jesus. Because here we are, and I could not be happier. I could not be prouder to be a big old lesbian.
Right? I'm trying to imagine you if you were still, like, convinced you were straight, and it's just a very funny picture.
Honestly,
in my head.
it's sad. It's just sad. Oh my God. We're not going to go to that dark place. As much as I want to talk about pride and talk about sunshine and rainbows and butterflies, we all know, as more experienced gays, there comes a time where there are some things that are pretty freaking annoying about pride.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like we need to talk about the good and the bad. So we wanted to talk a little bit about our pride pet peeves. And I actually really do love pride, but I think I'm the kind of person, I like crowds. Like, I like big events. So I think for people who are like, oh my God, this is so much, that's not really me. So I don't have too many complaints about pride. But my number one, which I think a lot of you will agree, is annoying straight people who try to co-opt our space. And I'm not talking about allies. Of course, I have a lot of straight friends who come with me to Pride and have a wonderful time.
And we love you guys.
And we love you. Please keep supporting us. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about, I feel like I'm going to sound like such a like old curmudgeon of a lesbian now.
Do you need a cane to shake?
Right? I
at
want to
some
shake
straight
my
people?
cane and be like, ever since you kids started watching RuPaul, you think you know what gay is. Like, you know, like what? But I swear to God, those words are about to come out of my mouth. But seriously, people are like, I love drag queens. I love gay people. Oh, I love, like, you guys are so ridiculous and awesome. Like, will you be my gay best friend and we can get drunk and, like, I'll dress up in all rainbow because I just love it, you know?
Yeah.
And I can't deal with them. You have the rest of the months. Stop co-opting our month.
It's not like you can't be there, and it's not like we don't want you there. It's just, it's not about you.
It's
right?
not about you. Yes, if you make it about you, please don't come.
And to be fair, I mean, I've had that conversation with a bunch of my straight friends about this podcast, you know, where I'm like, you absolutely do not have to listen to my lesbian podcast. You are welcome to listen to my lesbian podcast. You are not the main audience that we have in mind, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you're not allowed to listen. It's just we're not making this for straight people primarily.
Yes. It's not about you, and it's okay.
It's not about you.
It's okay. We have a lot of things that are not about us. So just give us this one thing.
Like, you know, every movie and TV show ever. It's fine.
Yeah. Just give us this one thing. It's not that we don't want straight people there. We just want them to be respectful of our space and respectful of us.
Of what's being celebrated.
Of what's being celebrated.
Which is not their love of RuPaul.
Exactly. That's all.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast. We bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out Real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart-Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast, Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's only one story. The Only One in the Room has a wide variety of guests, from prisoners to abuse survivors to swingers. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee that Only One in the Room will have a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone.
Hey, do you like true crime? Me too. And I know what you're thinking. There's so many true crime pods out there, you've already heard all the stories. Well, what if I were to tell you you're wrong? I'm Leroy Luna, the host of Excuse Me, That's Illegal, the podcast that takes a hardcore look at softcore crime. I've got a back catalog of hundreds of bizarre and hilarious stories just waiting to be heard by you. So come join me. Excuse Me, That's Illegal is available anywhere you get your favorite podcasts, with new episodes dropping on the 10th, 20th, and 30th every month, baby.
Oh, that's all. There was actually this really great article written or shared around last year that was like, as a straight ally, how to do Pride. And I shared it with everyone. I was like, hey guys, love you all. Here's what you should and shouldn't do. Thanks. Yeah. It was wonderful. So I'll find that. Maybe we'll share that.
Okay. My Pride pet peeve is actually, I think, goes along really well with my sort of fond hindsight memories of my first Pride, which is that first Pride was small. It was kind of a little niche group of, queer people coming together to celebrate, but it was super authentic in that way, And I think for me, especially I've noticed since we've moved to San Francisco Pride is enormous. It is huge. And the thing about huge things, especially in the Bay Area, is it gets very corporate very quickly in a way that kind of dulls that authenticity.
Yes.
You know? And I think that's my biggest pet peeve these days when you go to Pride is I think Pride at its core is about celebrating and supporting and uplifting the queer community, you know? And in a lot of ways, what it's become out here is big companies printing stuff with rainbows on it.
To market to their gay demographic.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. And so it's, you know, if you've never gone to the San Francisco Pride Parade, the thing about the San Francisco Pride Parade that makes it a little hard to, like, stand there through the entire thing is the sheer size of, like, just the Apple and Google delegations. They just let I don't know how you get invited to march as part of, like, the Apple group. But, like, I swear they have, like, 20,000 people, like, just...
Oh my God.
It's so big. Like, you will have the Apple part of the parade going past you for, like, 15, 20 minutes. It's unreal. Like, there's so many people. And I think there's a lot of events that are like that, like, events that get hosted. It doesn't feel like it's really supporting, like, smaller, local, queer establishments or groups or, you know, it's a lot of kind of bigger names and corporate things, and they want to get people to pay money to come to their events and see big name people. And I mean, I get it. It's just sometimes I feel like it kind of takes away a little bit of what Pride is supposed to be about.
Yes.
You know? So what I say is if you live in a city, like especially a big city like San Francisco is, and you have, like, huge, kind of very glitzy corporate Pride events, like, also look around, because a lot of times you'll be able to find, like, smaller, community-focused, like, queer-owned businesses, queer-hosted events that actually feature queer people and performers, and pay those performers. It's pretty well known within the community that, like, a lot of Pride events will ask kind of smaller, local queer, like, musicians and artists and stuff to do things for free so that they can pay, like, big name straight performers, you know? So just look for ways to make sure that you are
supporting your community.
Supporting and celebrating your community, because that's really what Pride is for, and I think we can do that, and I think those events tend to feel different. They feel more real, they feel more authentic, and they feel more important, you know? And I think that's why my dinky little memories of the Hartford Pride that we went to, I mean, it probably wasn't as small as I remember it being. It's just in comparison to the prides that you see now. But I also think it was a lot more real in a lot of ways, you know, because it didn't have that big corporate edge yet. So there you go. That's my main Pride pet peeve. And we go to San Francisco Pride, but I just almost never make it through the parade anymore.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. There's so many people. There's so many Google employees. Too much. Where do you all come from?
So much.
There's so many of them.
I feel like this actually sort of segues us into our favorite Pride experiences, because I said before I wanted to talk about New York Pride 2013, which was my first Pride when I was out.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about a Pride that hasn't happened yet that I think I have a feeling will be my favorite Pride. And that's Pride this year in Boston. And it's because of exactly what you're saying. I now in Boston have a pretty close-knit group of queer friends, and I don't even care to go to the parade, really. We're meeting up at one of our friends' houses, like drink and have a good time at their apartment and celebrate each other and the meaningful relationships we have as a queer community in Boston. Yeah, I don't really care about the floats. I don't really care about the parade aspect of it. I care about celebrating with the people who I'm proud to be a part of. Granted, as I say all these things, I also need to talk about what our plans are at this party, because I'm like, we're going to be so proud, but we're planning on having oil wrestling in my friend's backyard.
Oh my God.
Which is just, like, ridiculous. But inspired by the L Word oil wrestling with Lover Cindy, right?
Yeah, you're so
It's just, yeah, it's ridiculous. But it's our ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's our thing. It's our people. And as crazy as it is, like, I think it's going to be so much fun and just far more meaningful than any other Pride I've been to because of the people in this more intimate setting. And maybe, like, as the older I get, the more I want to be around the people that I know and not necessarily need to go out and be with a bunch of strangers.
Yeah, that kind of performative side of Pride. I mean, I think we all know that.
So after Boston Pride, I will for sure give you guys an update. If I win any of the oil wrestling, I don't know. Probably not. I'm pretty weak.
You're not gonna, like, Instagram live it? Come on.
Actually, I probably will put it on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram if you want to see me oil wrestle. There you go. That'll get us some followers. At Let's Hang Out Pod. But yeah, I think that's what Pride should be about. The community that we've built together.
I mean, being honest, we will probably not make it into the city for Pride this year because odds are I will be recovering from having a tiny baby and we will have a new tiny baby. And I think our plan is to, like, celebrate Pride at home with our little gay family.
Oh my God, that's so cute! Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
Maybe next year, when she's a little bigger, we'll take her out for the parade and stuff. But my guess is it's going to be a little much for, like, potentially week or couple week old baby.
Oh my God,
to go to San Francisco Pride. It's a lot, you guys. San Francisco Pride is a lot.
Yeah, no, New York is a lot too.
Maybe we could do Oakland Pride. Oakland Pride, I think, is a little later in the summer. Maybe she'll be a little.
Oh my God, and yeah, she's gonna have to be in a Let's Hang Out onesie.
Yeah.
Wait, one more thing. I do want to talk about New York Pride 2013 really quickly, if that's okay.
That's allowed. I'll allow it.
I remembered as we're talking, one of the main reasons that Pride was so meaningful is that I was on Cape Cod for the summer, and it was the end of May when we found out that Section 3 of DOMA was repealed. And it was this huge thing. People all over the country obviously were, like, super excited about it. And I wasn't planning on going to New York Pride. I was on Cape Cod. It was going to take me, like, 6 hours to drive there, and I was in this a cappella group. We had gigs and stuff. It just turned out that I had basically, like, 2 free days, and I drove to New York because I needed to be with my friends from college. I felt like this was a historic moment, and I wanted to be at Pride. You know, I wanted to be surrounded by people who also cared about this historic moment. And so that was, I think, one of the most exciting things about, honestly, a lot of the Prides since I came out. There have been some really big milestones that have happened in regards to gay marriage in particular, and a lot of other stuff that have made those Prides even more meaningful and exciting. And it reminds you also why we have Pride Month, because Pride Month is in June because of the Stonewall riots. Pride Month is in June because in June, the whole gay rights movement was started.
It's not just because it's nice.
Exactly. It's not just because, we can have a warm day to have a parade. But I think when you have these huge corporate events, you have these huge parades, you have these huge events, we get caught up in the excitement and the fun of it, and sometimes forget that we couldn't always do this.
That's why it's
a celebration. It's a celebration of being able to be open, being able to be out, because of all of these advancements that the people before us have made. And so I just think it's really important to acknowledge that. That's why we oil wrestle. For all the lesbians before us who couldn't oil wrestle in their backyards.
Yes.
No, but
in honor of their memory.
In their memory. But you know what I'm saying. Like, we are so fortunate to live in a time where, of course, there are still issues, there's still work to be done, but we can be out and proud and go to these events and celebrate. And it's amazing. I think it's important to say.
So for my favorite Pride experiences, and I kind of have 2, but they're the same year. So they're just 2 separate Prides that year. One of your favorite Prides is upcoming Boston Pride 2018. Yes. Mine is Boston Pride 2011. Mm-hmm. And it's the year that we got married.
Oh.
And it's one of my favorite things. It's such a stupid story, but it makes me so happy every time. So, as we talk about, it's just, it's sunny and beautiful and great to have a parade, it poured.
Mm-hmm.
It poured on the Pride Parade in Boston that year. It was the worst weather. It was freezing cold and rainy and gray and gross. And we used to march in the Pride Parade every year with the church that we went to in Boston. Shout out to The Crossing. If anyone is looking for a super welcoming, inclusive Boston church, I recommend checking them out. But we used to march with our church, and that year, I'm going to say we had a float. It wasn't really a float. It was like a trailer behind a truck or something that we were all in, which was kind of nice because at least you didn't have to walk the whole way, but also it probably would have kept us warmer to walk that year.
Yeah.
Because it was cold. But my favorite thing about that year is I did kind of love that the rain meant that there were far fewer people, both marching in the parade and watching the parade. There would be whole stretches of the parade route where there was just no one.
Yeah.
You'd have 3 people standing there under an umbrella, clapping, you know? And so in some ways it did feel very intimate in a way that the parade doesn't always, because it's just these just huge crowds of people and there's just so much noise and it's so loud and it's a lot. It was you could wave at individual people. And so one of my favorite things is that year we made the sign that we held while we were on this little float because the parade was 9 days before our wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a little sign that was all colored in rainbow and it said, "Getting gay married in 9 days."
Oh.
And we held this little sign the whole time. My favorite thing about this is we got married on a Monday, right? Which, slight side note, get married on Mondays, everything is cheaper. It's the number one advice that we've given to everyone we know, and no one will do it, but, I swear our wedding costs, a third of what it should have. So, anyways, we got married on a Monday, and so we had our little sign that said, "Getting married in 9 days," and my favorite thing is, we were at this one point in the parade route where there was, it was one of those, dead areas. There were very few people there. It was kind of down, going around the corner at, where you go past the Commons, and then we were kind of up by City Hall, and there was no one really there. And there's these 2 adorable gay dudes, and they're standing there huddling together, cuddling for warmth, under a little umbrella, and they saw our sign, and we had a lot of people that were super excited about the sign the whole time, and so we had people yelling congratulations, and I think it was part of why it was so cute that it was such a smaller crowd. And you could, see when people would, read and process it and then be like, "Oh my God, congrats!" And they were so excited for us. And it was my favorite thing because you're just in the back of this truck that's going, 3 miles an hour. It's, so slow. And these 2 guys, they're, clapping and cheering, and they're so excited. They read our sign. You see their faces light up. They get so excited, they're screaming for us. And then all of a sudden, one of them stops. And he just yells out as our little thing is driving past him, and he just goes, "On a Monday?" And it's my favorite reaction that we got the entire day, because he counted it out in his head. He was 9 days. Hold on a second.
Oh my God, that is
and
so
he was
funny.
So confused that he was "You're getting married on a Monday?" And you're moving so slowly that we literally had the opportunity to yell back and be "Yeah, everything is so much cheaper." And he was "Oh my God, that's brilliant." We had this whole little ridiculous conversation at 3 miles an hour as we drove past this dude in the parade, and it was just great.
Amazing. That's amazing.
So that was just, every time I think about that one little guy counting out the days to our wedding in his head, I just get so happy inside. But the other thing that was great that year is that, so we got married in Rhode Island, actually. We got married down in Newport, which, as we're talking about, all of these things that have changed over time and everything, it was not legal in Rhode Island for us to get married when we did. So we got married in Newport. We actually technically got married the day after our wedding in our apartment in Boston, where it was legal. We rented out a house with both of our bridal parties for the weekend, and we both did our bachelorette parties while we were down in Newport. And my bridal party for my bachelorette party literally rented a limo and drove us out to Providence Pride, which was the night of my bachelorette party.
Yes.
And they didn't tell me where we were going. We just like got in a car and ended up at Pride.
Yes.
So at Pride with, you know, like a little thing saying I'm getting married that weekend. And so I just got a lot of celebrations at Pride of my wedding. And that was a good old time as well. So
That's amazing.
So I had 2 Prides that year.
So you guys did 2 separate bachelorette parties?
Yeah, we did 2 separate ones.
Yeah, because I know like some people do it together, right?
Yeah.
I sort of like separate.
I think the thing that's hard is like, it's hard because you have so many shared friends, you know? And so I understand the not wanting to put people in an awkward place to choose or whatever. I think it ended up working out for us to do them separately. And I think it was probably good that like my bridesmaids and everything decided to like move us a little outside. I mean, Newport is not a huge place.
Yeah, you probably would have ran into each other.
Yeah, right? Like it would have been kind of hard to avoid each other. So.
When you're doing such horrible things on your bachelorette party, I'm surely getting wild.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, right? Just crazy times. I mean, just strippers and blow everywhere.
Wow.
That's basically the evening.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Wow, this is a really raunchy episode for like, I guess it's Pride, so.
At this point, anyone who listens to the podcast is just rolling their eyes at me, and that is the accurate reaction, you guys.
Yeah, and is not surprised that Ellie's oil wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
fine.
okay. I think Kelsey's was like a sunset, like boat tour of Newport.
Yeah,
Harbor.
Newport's
They were on,
very
a
like
sailboat or
ritzy.
something.
It's like
they were
very,
like very classy. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think it might be time for our Q and Gay.
Q and Gay, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. I came up with the Q and Gays this week, so here we go. All right. For those of you who are just tuning in, remember, you can also answer these Q and Gays on our Twitter, but I'm going to ask Lee first, so here we go.
Q and Gay.
All right. Number 1. What is your favorite part of Pride? A, the gays. B, the outfits. C, the parties. Or D, the parade.
The gays.
Obviously.
Gotta be the gays.
The gays. Always the gays.
Always the gays.
Okay, what is your biggest Pride pet peeve? A, straight people. B, nudity. C, too many people. Or D, too corporate.
I am gonna say too corporate.
Yep, felt it. All right, this is some shameless self-promotion, but I just need to know. What Les Hangout tank will you be wearing to Pride?
Oh my god.
A, Rainbow Les tank. B, Female Gays. C, Release the Kiss. Or D, Les Hangout logo.
I am gonna say, hoping that I have more options when more of my clothes fit me by Pride this year, ideally. Probably Les Hangout logo, although I don't know, man. The Rainbow Les is tempting me already.
I'm going for the Rainbow Les. I'm going to have 2 tank tops that say the word Les on it, and it's totally fine.
I think that's very on brand for you, Ellie.
It really is. All right. Number 4. When was your first Pride? A, in the 80s. B, in the 90s. C, in the thousands. D, in the 10s.
They're the aughts, right? It's
the aughts.
Thousands. Yeah. No one calls them that. But I'm going to say it. Because
Wait,
I
what
think
are the
that's
aughts? The thousands?
The
double zeros?
To 2009. Yeah. The aughts.
Okay, sorry. Should I say it again?
No, it's fine. I'm just going to be
pretentious?
Me and be, yes. Be pretentious and obnoxious. And I'm going to say mine was in the aughts.
Oh, in the aughts. All right.
Yeah.
And then I tried to pick a few different cities for this, but either way. Number 5, because I wanted also our listeners to be able to do it. And write-ins are, of course, welcome for this one.
Oh, yeah. Definite write-ins.
So number 5, what is your favorite city you've ever been in for a Pride Parade? A, Boston. B, San Francisco. C, Toronto. D, New York.
Boston. I have such fond memories of Boston Prides.
Yeah. Boston's it's a great city to be gay in. It really is.
It is.
I love being a lesbian here.
I mean, like, San Francisco's no slouch. I'm just, you know, I don't know. I feel like we just had so many milestones happen in Boston, so.
Yeah, I love it. And remember, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Twitter at Les Hangout Pod.
You can also find us on Instagram. I am sure we are going to have so many fun pictures from this episode to share as we dig up all of our old Pride pictures. So Instagram and Facebook, where you can find us at Les Hangout Pod.
You can email us at leshangoutpod@gmail.com.
Send us your Pride stories. We want to hear them.
Yes, please.
You can check us out at our website, which is leshangoutpod.com.
And if you want to support the podcast, you can support us in a completely free way by listening to us on Radio Public. And the link for that is bit.ly/leslisten. We get paid listens, but it's completely free for you.
You can also support us monetarily, and you can do that in a couple ways. One of them is to become a patron on our Patreon page. You get access to fun perks like blooper reels, like downloads of our L'Essentials songs, or you can join us for L'Essentials viewing parties. And you can find that at patreon.com/leshangout.
And super exciting, we are only $6 a month away from our second goal on Patreon.
We're so close.
Which hopefully by the time this episode comes out, that won't even be real, but you know. Thank you guys so much. All of you are wonderful and you have been so supportive.
Yes. We have a ton of fun watching movies with you guys. We love it.
It's so fun. And if you want to get your Les Hangout merch, especially this month, this is the time to be wearing your lesbian merchandise, people. Remember, you can go to our merch site, which is at TeePublic, and the link for that is bit.ly/lesshop. And we're going to have some awesome new Pride designs up, including a rainbow Les shirt, which I am so about, and a few others. So definitely check those out. And we'll be having some special Pride sales, so you can get your Les Hangout merchandise at a cheaper price.
Which everyone loves.
Yes.
It's a win-win. If you want to follow us individually, the best place to find me, I am on Instagram and on Twitter at LSHFoster.
And if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Ellie Brigida. And with that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee.
And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.